Welcome to Animal Stories for Kids. If you like our stories, please give us a 5-star rating, subscribe to our podcast, and share it with your friends and family. If you're listening on Spotify, you can support the podcast through listener support. Plus, check out exclusive show-related content and join the community at patreon.com/Animal Stories for Kids. And now, it's time for our story. Once upon a time, there was an albatross named Kina. Kina the albatross was a young bird who was still learning how to use her wings. She would wait on the cliffs of her island to wait for the winds to pick up. Then she would spread her wings and try to start running. And while all the other albatrosses her age were flying on their own, Kina the albatross was still fumbling over her feet and wings as she would try taking off to fly. She would stumble here and there, losing her balance and finally tumbling miraculously with her wings and somehow ended up in the air, catching herself from falling and staying up. Although she was able to fly, it was getting up in the air that she was still working on. So rather than flying by herself, she would always have help from her friends during her takeoff. Kina was looked at as the late bloomer of all of the albatrosses. It just took a little longer for her to grow into who she really was. Kina the albatross looked up to everyone else because they were all good at flying. Most of the days, she would sit on the waters just watching all the other albatrosses taking off from the cliffs and flying in the wind. All of the albatross's friends were known for being great flyers. But if Kina the albatross was known for anything, it was that she was the one all of the other albatrosses had to help. She needed help to get a running head start to fly. And since she couldn't fly all the time by herself, she also needed help to get bigger food from the sea, since she couldn't fly high enough sometimes to dive into the water to get the deeper octopus and squid. Kina the albatross appreciated all the help everyone gave her, but she still wanted to be known for something else other than the one everyone has to help. One day, as some of the other albatrosses were teaching Kina to fly, she said to them, "I want to be known to be a bird that does something great, not just a bird that others look to as a bird that needs help all the time. Why can't I be a bird that helps others in need? I don't like being helped all the time, but I know I need it." The other albatrosses said, "Don't worry, Kina. One day you will do something so great that all of us will look up to you as a bird that is great. We want to help you out because we all know how it feels to not be able to fly so well." As Kina the albatross was being helped at her running head start, the other albatrosses encouraged her by saying, "Hey Kina, you can do it. Just steady your wings and use the wind to guide your direction so you don't have to flap so much." Kina needed an albatross on her left and another on her right to keep her balance while running and trying to catch the wind to fly, because she was so afraid of falling down and not catching the wind. So 2 of her albatross friends steadied her wings and ran with her until she caught the wind and went into the air. "There you go, Kina," they shouted. "You did it! Look at you, Kina! I think you're able to do it all by yourself soon." Kina felt so good being in the air. She flew for miles and miles just enjoying the wind and looking at all the interesting things on the waters and the islands. On this particular day, as Kina was flying over the waters, she noticed in the distance a group of dolphins in one spot. They weren't moving. They were just swimming in that one area. So Kina was curious and wanted to check out what it was. So she flew over to the group of dolphins and, to her surprise, the dolphins were all stuck in a gigantic net that some ship must have left behind in the water. Kina flew down and sat on the waters and asked the dolphins, "Hey dolphins, are you all right? It looks like you all need some help." One of the dolphins said, "Hi, yes, we somehow got ourselves into a mess here. We were just enjoying our day, playing around and whatnot, till our buddy got a fin stuck in this net. And so one of us went to help and they also got stuck. And another one went to help and they got stuck. And I came over to help and now I'm stuck. We're all stuck in this net and it's been almost a whole day. Is there any way you can help us?" Kina the albatross said, Well, I'm not the best albatross. I'm kind of a late bloomer. Maybe I'm not the right bird to ask. Let me get another bird. And as she started to turn around to go towards her friends, the dolphin said, No, please don't leave us. You're the first animal we've even seen in a few hours. Please, is there anything you can do without leaving us? Kina thought about what she could do, and she said, Well, I really don't know what I can do to help you. I don't even know how to fly right yet. I haven't even dove underwater for my first meal. The dolphins looked at each other and said, Oh, that is interesting. An albatross that has a hard time flying and eating? Then one of the dolphins said to another dolphin, Hey, can we even trust this bird that she could help us? Then one of the dolphins said to Kina the albatross, Hey, it's okay if you have a hard time flying. We all had a hard time learning to swim when we were young too. It comes to you in time. For some, it comes quick, and for others, it just takes some time. Kina the albatross said, Hey, thanks. I appreciate all the kind words, but I still wouldn't know how to help you. As she was talking to the dolphins, Kina the albatross would scoop up some krill to eat while she sat on the waters. Then one of the dolphins asked her, Hey, what about your bill? Kina asked, What about my bill? The dolphin said, Well, I see it has a nice pointy tip and you're using it to kind of scoop krill into your mouth. Do you think it could be used to take this net off? Kina said, Well, I can certainly try and see if I can take the net off with my bill. So she went toward the dolphins and scooped up a part of the net from the water with her bill and started pulling it away from the dolphins. But as she was pulling the part of the net away, it was dragging the other dolphins around, and the net was getting more and more tangled as she tried. The dolphin said, Hey, wait, hold on. You're actually making it harder to get out. Kina the albatross said, Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. And as she was talking with the part of the net in her bill would open and shut as she was talking, and her bill started to wear out the netting lines. And as the netting lines started to rip and break in her bill, the dolphins realized, Hey, you're doing it. Kina asked, What? What am I doing? The dolphin said, You're getting the net off of us. You're helping us. Kina saw what she was doing as she was talking and accidentally ripping apart the netting lines. Oh, my bird, Kina said. I can't believe I'm doing something good. The dolphins looked at her and said, Are you kidding me, Missy? You're not doing something good for us. You're saving our lives. You're doing something great. The dolphins kept wiggling and flapping their tails and fins until they broke loose, and one of the dolphins grabbed the net with its mouth and swam towards the beach of a nearby island to let the waves push the net onto the shore and out of the water so it doesn't trap any more sea creatures again. Kina sat on the water as the dolphins all swam around her, cheering and jumping in the water. You're our hero, they shouted as they celebrated Kina the albatross saving them. Kina said to them, I'm so happy you are all safe and not stuck in the net anymore. I can't wait to tell my friends how I did a great thing. The dolphins all said to her, We all know firsthand that you're a great albatross. You just saved our lives. And if that's not a great thing, I don't know what is. Kina thanked the dolphins for their nice words and caught a big wave that sent her in the air. She spread her wings and caught the wind and flew back to her friends. She felt much better about herself. She thought, maybe I had it in me the whole time. I didn't need to be afraid that I couldn't help. And maybe I don't need to be afraid that I can't figure out flying by myself too. All her friends saw Kina the albatross flying back, and they said to each other, Hey, does Kina look different? Yeah, she looks happier. Yeah, she really looks great for some reason. Yeah, let's ask her. As Kina the albatross landed on the cliffs of the island around her friends came around her and asked, Hey, Kina, you're looking really great. What did you do? Or what did you see? Or what happened to you? Kina the albatross asked, What do you mean I look really great? How does an albatross look great? Her friend said, Well, it's not that you look a certain way. I don't know, maybe it's the way you're carrying yourself. It's almost like you don't really need us to help you anymore or something. You look like you're stronger or more sure of yourself. Can we ask you what happened before you came here? Because when you left this morning, you were your same self who looked around for help and a little encouragement, but now you look like you're acting totally different, like you don't need any kind of help. Kina the albatross said, "You know what? I think you're right. I don't think I need any more help in trying to fly. I think I could do it myself. Even if I fumble and trip, I think I have it in me to fumble and trip and fall by myself until I can get it right." The friends asked her, "What happened that you got so confident and so sure of yourself now?" Kina said, "I just did something great, and that gave me the feeling and confidence to face all my shortcomings by myself. I think I would feel better if I figured out flying by myself, instead of always needing help, you know?" Her friends asked, "What did you do that was so great that it gave you so much confidence?" Kina the albatross told them, "Well, there was a small school of dolphins in the sea and they needed help. I wanted to come back here to ask you all for help to get these dolphins out of a net, but the dolphins really didn't want me to leave them by themselves. And as I was trying to help them, I had the netting line in my bill, and as I was talking to them, my bill naturally ripped up the netting line and it freed the dolphins and saved their lives." The friends all said, "Wow, that is so cool, Kina. Wow, that is so awesome, Kina. Yeah, Kina, you just did a great thing." And Kina said, "I sure did. And watch out, everyone. I'm gonna fly all by myself, too." And so Kina walked back, and all her friends stood there watching her. And one of her friends said, "Kina, are you sure you don't need my help to run next to you just in case you fall?" And Kina the albatross said, "I'll be fine. If I fall, I want to fall on my own and figure out how not to fall as I'm taking off." And so Kina the albatross spread her wings, and with all the confidence she had, she started running. And she was still a bit clumsy, but she was confident. She ran and ran, and she tripped on a rock and started to lose her balance and kind of slid around the ground, and she did a tumble and caught herself. And then the wind hit her wings really strong, and then she flipped again, and then she flipped again into the air, and then straightened out her whole body, and then she started to fly. "See," Kina said to her friends, "I told you I can do it on my own." Her friends all cheered her on because even though Kina the albatross had a rocky takeoff, she did it all on her own. And that made her friends really proud at how much she grew. And Kina the albatross flew in the air with a new sense of accomplishment in her eyes. She was ready to take on the next challenge in her life, and she knew she was able to do it. If she could do something great like save the lives of some dolphins, she could do anything. And Kina the albatross flew and flew from island to island with a new flap in her wings, enjoying the wind and traveling over the seas around the world. And the albatross lived happily ever after. The end. The albatross is the largest bird on the earth. They're widely seen in the southern oceans and the North Pacific. They have the longest wingspans of any bird, reaching up to 12 feet wide. Their bills are large, strong, and sharp-edged, with the upper mandible being shaped almost like a hook at the tip. They are known for dynamic soaring, which allows them to fly around the earth without using much energy in flapping their wings. They follow the winds and move their wings to either use the wind to carry them higher and faster until they can dive and catch the wind again on the upturn. This allows them to fly for hundreds of miles in a day without using much energy. Albatrosses are able to ingest seawater, which allows them to drink water wherever they are. Albatrosses are seen mostly in the southern hemisphere and the North Pacific. When they're not in the air flying, they can be found floating on the waters or on islands with cliffs or areas where there's a lot of wind, so they can fly with ease. Albatrosses take off to fly by spreading their wings and running to catch the wind and allowing it to lift them up into the air. The albatross's diet are cephalopods like octopus and squid, fish, crustaceans like krill and shrimp, and they could be seen diving from the air into the water to catch their food to eat. Albatrosses spend a lot of time finding a mate, and males and females will try to form relationships over several years during breeding season with dances and different calls until a compatible mate is found. And when the male and female albatross finds each other as mates, they stay together for life. Maybe that's why it takes so long for them to find each other. Albatrosses are not seagulls, although they are commonly mistaken for them, and vice versa. Albatrosses can live up to 50 years old, which is pretty old for birds. Have you ever seen a real-life albatross before? If you have, where did you see it? If you want to write to us, ask your parent to email us at animalstoriesforkids@gmail.com and tell us what you think of our stories. We would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to Animal Stories for Kids. If you like our stories, please give us a 5-star rating, subscribe to our podcast, and share it with your friends and family. If you're listening on Spotify, you can support the podcast through listener support. Plus, check out exclusive show-related content and join the community at patreon.com/animalstoriesforkids. Until next time, bye!